what's going on, guys? I'm going to be showing you, if you couldn't tell from the title, my entire Lego Star Wars empire. And really, actually, just the figures. No spacecraft or vehicles, but I'm going to be doing this in one take. So if I slip up or stumble over my words, it's just going to happen. Probably not going to edit it out. Um, but yeah, no, this is just figures. As far as the minifigures go, I try to do everything as modern as possible. If you couldn't even tell just from this wide cut that my military is pretty organized, it's very uniform, which I'll get into later. Um, these are almost all completely official Lego minifigures. I have three figures that are custom printed, but it's all on Lego parts. And besides that, I'm using almost entirely Brick Arms weapons, spanning from 15 different variations of blasters because the Empire has that variation, so I'm going to utilize it. It's going to be fun. I'll show you everything. And also a lot of custom pauldrons, just because I wasn't a big fan of the big Lego ones. So we have all kinds of colors of those, which we'll get into. This also might not be the complete version, but this is probably 95+% of how big my army is going to get. As you'll hear me explain, I might add more figures on here and there. You know, Lego always comes out with more things, but for the time being and for the most part, this is as big as my, I guess, Lego Empire is going to get. Now, how I acquired these, I'm going to be honest, a lot of them, like the normal stormtroopers, some scout troopers, snow troopers, a lot of the more normal figures I acquired through Bricklink because it's cheaper. But I do live in the Portland, Oregon area, and there are five, I think, bricks and minifigures within like a 45-minute drive from me. And if I want to go like an hour and a half, I can find a sixth one. So a lot of these were hunted down and sourced from bricks and minifigures, which is a little bit more expensive, but actually pretty fun to do. So it was pretty fun building this army. I've also made some of my own kind of mix of figures to kind of get what I wanted out of something, which I'll also go to show you. But let's go ahead and start with what we have here would be kind of like the Hoth troopers, or I guess anything to do with cold weather or snow. So we're going to start and show you the snow troopers. These are just the standard snow troopers that came in that snow trooper battle pack. They're the most up-to-date. They do not have the actual cloth, just the printed waistcape, unfortunately. Maybe that's something I'll add. I kind of didn't even think about that till now. But kind of how you'll see me organizing it is by like little squads or teams, whatever you want to call them. But that consists of 5 riflemen with E11 blasters, and then 1 heavy gunner with a T21 heavy repeating blaster, which has a slow rate of fire, but a powerful shot if you've ever played Battlefront. They have white pauldrons to kind of signify them as the heavy gunners. So we got 4 of those squads, that's 24 in total. If we go here, we have the Snow Scout Troopers. They also came in that same battle pack. And if you can see right there, they kind of have, they're not snipers and they're not really bikers. I kind of use them as a designated marksman. So they have these marksman rifles, which is the same rifle and the same role they played in Battlefront, at least the original ones. And that would be the, I think, DLT-20A. Pretty cool rifle. I have 3 AT-AT pilots and 3 AT-ST pilots. Another thing you'll notice going forward from here is everything's kind of in groups of 3s or multiples of 3s. And they are all carrying the EC-17 pistol. It's kind of like pretty much the speeder scout pistol. But yeah, these are the most modern renditions that I could find of these troopers. They're good. They have printed legs and whatnot. There might be a better version of the AT-AT pilot printed arms, but I'm not paying all that money for that. So then, of course, we have, I think it's either General or Commander Veers. Pretty sure this is the best version of him. It's got all the printing and the dual molded legs, of course. Got the pistol. And he's kind of leading them. Then I have this heavy blaster. I think it's an EW-10HB heavy repeating blaster cannon, something like that. You've obviously probably seen this in The Empire Strikes Back when they snowtroopers set it up and start shooting at the Millennium Falcon. Pretty cool. I've also seen brick built versions that are also really nice. This is a brick arms one though. And last but not least here we have range troopers. Super expensive and hard to come by, even though 2 came in a set. I guess they're just highly sought after, but these are the official Lego ones with the little cloth piece. They're all in good condition. These 2 have, I think it's a RT97C heavy repeating blaster, but it's like a gray color, and I actually got those as extra pieces in Brick Arms orders because Brick Arms likes to do that. And I thought I'd utilize them on the range troopers because it was a unique look. This is just a shorter, more compact version of a T21 heavy repeating blaster, so once again it kind of felt specialized. I'm kind of hoping they come out with a range trooper again because he was seen in Andor, so maybe if we get that in like a TIE Avenger set, that'd be pretty sick, but probably unlikely. I wouldn't mind honestly having 3 to 6 more of these guys. They're pretty cool. But for now I'm happy with 3. Alright, moving on from that, we're going to go into some more troopers, pilots actually. And if you're wondering why all these cut up base plates are in such a weird format, it's because I display all my figures up there, so they have to fit accordingly. But yeah, let's go to pilots. I have 3 TIE Fighter pilots, printed legs, and then 3, I don't know if these are TIE Bomber or TIE Interceptor pilots. I don't even know, maybe those are the same thing as far as prints go, but yep, they all have those EC-17 pistols. And then here, I honestly forgot the names of either of these types of pilots, but I have 3 of each. Pretty sure that these ones are some sort of walker pilot or driver have you that come out in Rebels. But they actually have the ES-14R, which is kind of that smaller, more compact blaster that you see all over the place in Star Wars. Well, in the Empire. So those are the pilots. Let's move on. Got some weird angles here. So let's go on right here. We have 2 silver astromech droids. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the same one. They have pretty much the same body, just different heads, so maybe one's a newer version. We got the black astromech over here. We have 3, I think these are just like Imperial technicians, not really officers or anything. These are the old ATST pilots. I just kept them around. I have the newer version with the goggles on the helmet. It's a nicer helmet, nicer face print, printed legs. And then I have another one of these pilots, same as the white one, but in gray. So I kind of just stuck him with them because he has a similar helmet. And then over here, we have 3 K2SOs. 2 of them are, as you can see from kind of the printing on the side of the head, are the original ones, and one is from the U-Wing. I actually bought the U-Wing set, and that's where I got them from. The other 2 I just got from Bricks and Minifigures. We have 2 of these protocol droids, I believe, and we have these 3 troopers, which are all unique. First thing you'll notice is these 2 are complete. This one has a black officer hat, and I gave him a custom pauldron. I just simply didn't have a gray one to give him, so he is not quite right. Also, these pistols are not, to my knowledge, Imperial issued pistols, so I just kind of gave him dual wielding pistols like Woody Harrelson had in the Solo movie. But yep, they're all from the Solo movie. They're all unique figures. I don't feel the need to get any more of either of these 3 because I'm not trying to build a muddy Imperial Army figures. So they're just gonna kind of be unique figures. Same with the Gunner, really cool unique figure, but I don't need more than one of him. So they're just kind of there to be there. All right, let's move on to the main force of my stormtroopers. There are 76 stormtroopers here, each in those squads of 6. And before we move on to them, I'll quickly show you. I got Darth Vader from the TIE Bomber set. He has the printed arms. Probably one of the newest versions of Darth Vader. It's a good figure. I have no reason to replace him. Same with the Sith. I don't know which set he comes in, but he has the newer cloak piece, so I'm assuming it's a newer Sith. And then we have these guards, and I think they're actually a little bit different because one has a stiff cape, one has a soft cape. So it gives me variety, but I kind of would have preferred that they were the same. I think they come with spears, but I kind of made these custom spears with them because when I bought them, they didn't have accessories, so I kind of had to build them accessories at Bricks and Minifigures. And I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. They actually look pretty similar to what they have in canon, so we're going to stick with that. All right, let's actually move on to the Stormtroopers themselves. Once again, just like the Snowtroopers, we have those groups of 6 with a gunner. This time the pauldron is black, like you would see in, I guess, Battlefront, and they are all rocking the RT-97C. I just think it's such a cool looking heavy blaster. It's really fun to use in Battlefront. And the Empire did use it, although maybe the DLT-19 was more common, and maybe I should have opted for that. I just thought it was such a cool look, and I saw some really cool fan art with it, so I opted to have that be my heavy blaster for all of my Stormtroopers. And yes, I am using the dual molded Stormtrooper helmet. It gets a lot of hate, and I can understand why. My whole thing is that Lego minifigures are supposed to kind of have a little bit bigger heads. It might be a little bit oversized, and you can't really turn it, which is also a problem. But the fact it's dual molded just makes it super nice, such a clean look. And I personally don't really have a problem with it. I know people think the chin is too big. Maybe it is, but I've actually come to really like the helmet. A lot of people actually have. So I'm not taking any of those 2014 to 2018 helmets. If you guys really like those, there's more for you, okay? The reason I'm sticking with these helmets is because it gives me a wider variety of how I can build my army uniformly, which you'll come to see. The only helmet they don't have is like the Shock Trooper helmet, which I personally don't really care for. Besides that, yeah, you'll also notice that every single one has the original kind of etched chest plate piece. I'm not a big fan of that shaded piece, that the new shaded piece that looks kind of like the original ones. I think it's ugly, and I don't think there's any point in doing that, considering that they went pretty much a decade and a half of having the etched chest piece to the point where almost every single variation of the Stormtrooper has it. So that's what I stick with. We don't have any of the Stormtrooper mech slash new battle pack chest piece, or I guess Darth Vader hallway scene. This is all etched chest plate. But yep, they should all pretty much be the same. They're all in great condition. They're all relatively new. So let's hop on to the actual variants. I have to move some plates around here. I just knocked an officer off. Didn't really have anywhere to put a lot of my normal officers, so they're all kind of lined up in front, and we'll actually just hit them first. So yes, I do have a chick. The waist is a little bit snatched, so I just kept it to a female. I would have preferred it to be a male because I'm a little bit sexist, but yep, they all have these scout pistols. All the rest have these modern Imperial hats. This is actually an older torso, if you couldn't tell, and I just replaced the hat to make it a more modern Imperial hat. I think maybe one or two of these torsos are repeats of each other, but most of them are unique just with the ranking itself. So it gives me a good variety of officers. It would be a nice thing to get dual molded boots sometime in the future. I think that would look fantastic. But yeah, that's something I could do in the future. All right, let's move on to the actual troops themselves. So first off, we have more scout troopers. We have 2 squads this time. Once again, I'm using them as kind of those designated marksmen with their, what is it, the DLT-20A blaster. We have tank troopers in the back just with E11 blasters. I think those are pretty sick looking troops. And then we have mortar troops. These are actually the pauldrons they came with because they're pretty much the same exact ones as the custom. Same backpacks they came with. I really do want to get mortars for them. I kind of just made impromptu weapons for them. It's like the lower part of a T-21 heavy blaster, and I just put a stud shooter on the end to make it look like some sort of like grenade launcher or something have you. A little bit sloppy, but it works for now. Once again, you can see those torsos are just like the other ones. And these are the 3 custom figures I was telling you about. Now, the printing is not perfect on them. but I do think these figures are great. They, in fact, even have arm printing. They have these custom flamethrowers, which are not actually brick arms. Don't know what they are, but leg printing, it's pretty good. I'd say the only printing, I think this is pad printing, but the only printing I'm not a big fan of is the helmet printing. It's a bit sloppy, not perfectly centered, but it's better than running a Sharpie over your minifigure, which I've seen some people do. So really not bad. I gave it a custom red pauldron. These are actually not flame troopers. I take that back. These are incinerator troopers. And you can see even that custom print has the etched chest piece, not the shaded one. So once again, we're sticking kind of with that proper chest piece. All right, let's move on to the jet troopers, which I'm sure you guys have already seen, but let me quickly explain this. Just E11 blasters. Give them all pauldrons, and I have like their commander or their sergeant or whatever with an orange one. Pretty obvious that this is the battle damaged stormtrooper torso that came out in that, I guess, Battlefront battle pack with a jet trooper. Same exact jetpack, same exact torso, just a different helmet. Simply because I wasn't about to use non-dual molded stormtrooper helmets, simply because of uniformity. I decided to make my own custom helmet, and you guys can tell this is the old, not the old, but the kind of medium old AT pilot helmet. So it's not like the dark, or I guess the light gray ones. It's a white one. Other than that, it's the same mold. And I just got rid of the Imperial symbols at the top, and it decently resembles, minus some things. It's still a little bit too wide. It doesn't have the tubes, but it decently resembles the jet troopers in Battlefront. So that was kind of my recreation of them. I'm very happy with them. They actually do have the sand trooper heads. That way it still covers the black in the back where the gap in the helmet is, but they still have faces. So pretty cool there. Let's move on to the second half before we get to the final plate. And first you can see, yep, I already went over the officers. So we have 9 patrol troopers just armed with E11s. Patrol troopers, super sick figures. Dual molded helmet, which is part of the reason I like them so much. I think their actual role in canon is kind of lame, but it's whatever. I still wanted to have them. They're kind of like a military police force, somewhat similar to scout troopers. And now over here, we're going to go with the shadow troopers. Once again, dual molded, etched chest piece. Black like the original ones, but unfortunately do not have the chrome lining. It does suck. They dual molded these. I really think they should have gone with regular silver and not that dark pearl gray. It is what it is, though. I still think they look fantastic. The commander actually has a torso. It's not a shadow trooper torso. It's the Inferno Squad torso, which is super similar. Just has like a bandolier. So just went with that instead. Gave him a pauldron, and I don't know why I have him with a DMR. I might give him a different weapon, but they do have. He has a T21 heavy repeating blaster, and then back there we have a DLT 19X, which is like a sniper version of a DLT. We actually have 2 of those bad boys back there. I think the rest, he also has a heavy repeating blaster. The rest are just armed with E11s. It's supposed to be like more of a stealth variant of a stormtrooper. It's more highly trained. All right, and Minband Trooper. These are actual legit Lego ones. I know, they're expensive. That's why I only have 3. And unfortunately, I don't see Lego ever making this trooper again. So, will I get any more? Maybe. Probably no more than 3 more, but I'm happy with 3. They're all in great condition. They all have their capes. No cracks or nothing. They all have the original heads. And I just kind of have them armed with random weapons right now. Once again, just heavy repeating blasters and a sniper, but I should probably give them E11s to make it more uniform. All right, last but not least on here, we're going to go over the Sand Troopers. I have a whole lot of pride in these. Once again, dual molded helmet, etched chest plates. I did a really good job with these, so once again, they all have custom pauldrons, black pauldrons, white, and then orange. So it'd be like the sergeants and the commander. most of them have E11s, and some of them have like a DLT 19, which is just the normal heavy blaster. And I also have the T21 heavy repeating blasters back here, just because you see them both carrying those heavy weapons in canon, so I thought it'd be cool to emulate there. And before I go to the next one, I do want to show you what these guys look like. I was really proud of what I did with these guys because I made them their own Sand Trooper backpack. And if you see the Sand Trooper backpacks, they're super bulky and ugly and gross, and they make them fall down backwards because they're so awkward. So I wanted something that didn't come out too much from the back profile or the side profile, but if you go one stud wide, it's too thin. So I don't know how I came up with it, but I came up with a method of using kind of this handlebar piece and then attaching pieces off of it to kind of make the weird curved looking backpack shape they have. So it ended up pretty successful. You guys are totally feel free to copy this. I think this is the best brick built Sand Trooper backpack ever shown on the internet that I could find. So maybe there is a custom website that makes one out there, but seriously, this is worth building, and I'm not going to switch over because this came out so good. I think these Sand Troopers look phenomenal. And I have 12 of them, so probably don't need any more. I think 12 is a good number, and they're pretty rare and pretty damn expensive. So we're going to keep it at 12. All right, we'll get those out of the way and bring the last plate up, which has a lot more specialized troops. We have some more boring troops on this side. So these are like Navy pilots, armed with the ES-14R, once again, just kind of a shorter, more compact blaster. I kind of just see them as crewmen, really. I guess they're also like shuttle pilots or what have you, but just kind of tech. Then we hit back here, we have more crewmen. These are, I think, ground control from Rogue One. So they kind of have a little unique helmet there, a little unique chest piece. Pretty decent looking figures, once again, armed with the same short blaster. And then we have 3 gunners back here. I don't know why this one has a different helmet. It's white instead of silver. Maybe I'll get that changed. Maybe I'll keep it. I don't know, but... and then in the front, we have 3 officers. These are my only officers with black torsos. So this one is that, I think he's like some ISB agent from Rebels, I believe. I don't know much about him. I actually have not seen more than the first few episodes of the first show. It was just too juvenile for me. And right here we have some sort of officer in black. And then right here, this is actually a mix-up of figs. So you guys recognize this Imperial torso as being a little bit of older Lego Star Wars, probably like late 2000s. It definitely has boobs, so it couldn't really make it a man's torso. And conveniently, the ISB chick has a hat with female, like a female blonde bun in the back. So I decided to combine them both and make a female officer. I think it came out pretty well. And I just turned the ISB into a male officer. A little bit of a snatched waist. Speaking of the ISB, we have Director Krennic, and we have 2 of these tactical ISB tacticals with the Brick Arms ISB tactical blaster. I don't know the actual technical name for it, but all 3 of them have it. Back here we have 9 Navy troopers. These are the newest rendition of that. They have the printed legs as well. They are carrying, I think it's the E20A. Pretty sure E10-5. So it's the blaster they used before the E11, and then the E11, I'm pretty sure, took its place. So it's kind of something you'd see that maybe the Imperial Army or Navy troopers would have because they weren't properly issued E11s. And I simply wanted to go with it because it's a unique blaster. So, like I said, I like utilizing as much variety as I can. Now we'll move on to Death Troopers. I have a squad of 9. The 3, or I guess the 6 in the back have that normal torso. I think that came in the battle pack, and most of them have that E11D, I think it's called. It's kind of like their the Death Trooper variant of the rifle. And then back here, this is the DLT 19D. So I think it's a heavy repeating blaster with a scope on it, so it's more suited towards Death Troopers, and actually all three of them have it. There's a pretty famous picture from Rogue One of one kind of cradling it. And then up here, I have three of like the specialists or sergeants or whatever they are. They have like actual kind of equipment, grenades and ammunition hanging off the front of their kit. The main one has a pauldron. The other two don't. They just have the E11Ds, and then I guess the sergeant has the ES14R. All right, let's move on over here. I forgot the name of this general. I do know he is in the original trilogy, I think in A New Hope. They just came out with a more modern version of him in the Death Star, but that dropped recently, and I have no reason to buy that just for the figures. But one thing I may update in the future is more updated officers. And to be fair, I want them to both have dual molded legs, like Commander. The fact I can't remember his name pisses me off. I want to say Vaughn, but it's not Vaughn, is it? Once again, I didn't watch Rebels. I did see him in. I know he's in Legends and everything, but he's in the Ahsoka show too, which is this figure. I prefer the live action versions over the cartoon versions. But yep, there he is, pistol, everything. We have two Inquisitors. The reason I only have these two Inquisitors, I think this is like the first and second brother, could be, or Grand Inquisitor and like second brother, is there's two other versions of him. There's one with a helmet, and there's the older version of him, which is not as good looking and more expensive and based off of a cartoon. And there's an older version of him, which is once again based off a cartoon, older and not as good looking. And the third sister pisses me off, and I don't even want her, to be honest. So there's also that Inquisitor, former Inquisitor, bounty hunter from Ahsoka series. Just didn't care to have that one either. Maybe I will eventually, but these are the two I wanted, and they're the two I have. Now, I don't have Purge Troopers. Lego hasn't really come out with Purge Troopers. If they do, it'd be sick to have some, especially the live action versions. I'm not a big fan of the ones everyone likes, the ones that look like airborne clone troopers. Personal preference, they just look too much like clones to me, and I don't want clones in my Imperial army. So, all right, let's go back from that. We have this is bad. Can't even remember. But these are his guards. I'm so bad with names. So from The Mandalorian, I've watched the whole thing twice, but Moff Gideon, there we go. Moff Gideon in his Beskar armor, his guards in their Beskar armor. Phase 2 Dark Troopers from The Mandalorian. I have 3 of them, and they actually have the right blaster for them, which would be the E24DT, I think. That's the one they used in the show. So they have the right guns, which is pretty cool. Like I said, attention to detail. I try to give everyone the best blasters to my best ability. And then these are I think they go by like Imperial Commandos, which are pretty much just the Mandalorian Beskar versions of Stormtroopers. And they're all right. I never really cared for them in the first place, but I felt like my army needed at least a few. So have them. They have a random assortment of blasters. Got like a sniper. This is like a clone minigun, so they got E11s. And then back here, we have the zombies, like the night troopers, and the only reason I have them is literally just for variety. Same helmet, but different torsos for these two. And then this is the Death Trooper version. They have that ugly chest piece torso, but I don't even care about the figures in the first place, so it's not a big deal. Up here, we have Inferno Squad. They all have pauldrons, a little bit different. We have like the short version of the T21 heavy repeating blaster. And we have the DLT-19X, which is the sniper. And then we have the E11D, I guess, Death Trooper blaster. I don't even think this is the main girl from Battlefront. This is just a random dude, because if you couldn't notice already, I'm pretty sexist, and I just don't need women in my Imperial army. All right, last but not least, this is probably my favorite group of figures. I kind of custom made them. These are supposed to be Phase Zero Dark Troopers from Battlefront 1. The blaster they are carrying is it's the E22, which is supposed to be the Shore Trooper blaster. But you'll notice I don't have Shore Troopers, and that's simply because they're too damn expensive. I think they're cool, and maybe I'll get some later. The fact they came out in a battle pack and they're still so expensive just really hurts my ego. I would like to have some, but right now I'm not really focused on getting Shore Troopers. Maybe if they re-release them, I'll start getting them, but yeah, I did want to use their blaster though, because it is a pretty cool looking blaster. So I used it on the Phase Zero, I guess, Dark Trooper. And I kind of want to get into how I built it. As you can see, that is the Shadow Trooper torso from the Battlefront Shadow Trooper in the battle pack. Has the same exact chest piece design as all the other Stormtroopers. And it is metallic instead of black, like these Shadow Troopers. So I wanted to find a way to utilize this. So it does have dark bluish gray accents. So when you give it the dark bluish gray jetpack and you give it the dark bluish gray Night Trooper helmet, and then these medieval, I guess, pearl dark gray pauldrons that I cut the third layer off of. And I had to sand it down a little bit in the back for the jetpack to actually fit. But I think they look pretty good. Probably as close as you could get to the actual Dark Trooper. It's not like they had insane big bulky armor like you might see on these Dark Troopers. Like if you actually look at them, they just have slightly armored up version of the Stormtrooper armor. And they have a pretty unique helmet, which I couldn't quite replicate. They also have, you know, red visors, but these gold streaks look pretty bad in the light. If you're not in the light, you can't even notice them. But I might get a little bit of Brasso or some sort of solution to rub it away without getting rid of the other print. But I love these figures. I think they came out great. Love these figures ever since I played the original Battlefront. So, yep, those are pretty cool. Feel free to make some of your own. And that is my entire Imperial army. The only things I could really think of adding are maybe a few Purge Troopers, some Shore Troopers, and they do have that blue, I guess, tank trooper from Darth Vader's castle, and a few officers here and there, you know, maybe the Imperial spy from Tatooine. There's small figures here and there. Let me know if there's really any big ones I missed, or just put that in the comment section if you come across this video. Always willing to look into that and maybe add a few more figures. But for the most part, pretty happy with this collection. It's taken me the past kind of 2 to 3 years to build, and I think I'm at a point where I'm pretty much done, and I have almost no room up there to even display them. So, yep, that is my Lego Star Wars Imperial collection.